So I had a few videos I put together for different things, and this one that I'm thinking of was for Heroes, but it didn't work out correctly. It has terrible sound and it didn't record the video the way it should. So I'm going to try and split that previous video about Heroes into two, and I'm going to start with the second part, which is about the Hero Alliance. So you have the ability to put heroes together to work as one hero. So as you can see, you go to Heroes, go to General Alliance, and you pick a general. In this case, I have Daphne, and I already have her in alliance with Tora and the Timekeeper. And what happens is the Master General, which is Daphne, will receive bonuses to her abilities, attack and defense, and also her actual ability based on what the other generals have. So in this case, Daphne and Tora have the same ability, and 50% of Tora's ability will be added into Daphne's. If I had a third general, Persephone, added to this instead of the Timekeeper, then the secondary bonus would have been a third of what Persephone does. A third of 14, it's like 4. But instead what I have is the Timekeeper, and the Timekeeper adds health, defense, physical resistance. So as you can see, you start out 100% from your base ability, and then your primary is only half, secondary is third, it goes down, down, down. If you want, you can focus on one thing, which you may want to in some cases, but usually you do not. Most of the time what you want is either one or two of one ability, and then you'll add a second or even a third one to that one particular general. So just to show you, I have these three. I'll unlink them. So you have to start with a secondary link and unlink them. Then unlink the primary link. And this is what you would have when you just click the general by themselves. This is a little bit slow sometimes. So Daphne is by far the strongest general I have. Otherwise, it would list all these, weakest to strongest. So she ends up in the top. If I had, say, put the Timekeeper second, she's way down here somewhere. Once you select the master, the generals are resort based on the abilities of the master general, because Daphne has this damage, reflect, and rune back. The generals that have that same ability are listed first, and after that I have never really figured out how they get listed. So I have like the Timekeeper here, and I add the Timekeeper, and now Daphne has all of her normal abilities, plus she has the Timekeeper's full abilities, 71 to all of these three stats. And also attack and defense are increased. If I had put Tora in third, instead of getting 50% of what she does, I only get a third of what she does. 24 deflect and 4% back. Which is less than ideal. There are some other things you may want to consider, like Daphne does deflect back based upon her damage rune. So if you were to look in your keep and you look at your damage rune, right now I have 400 extra damage. If I added Gabriel to it, I'm going to search because I have a few generals to find. Make a new alliance, and now I have 28 damage, plus I have 14% damage rune bonus. So now back in my keep, if I refresh this, the damage rune bonus is now 457. So when someone attacks, they will take more damage from the alliance. If I wanted to attack someone, I would do more damage. It's not really Daphne's goal to do damage, so her function is to reduce the amount of damage that you take when you are attacked, win or lose. And she does very well at that. One more thing to note is the alliance stance. The alliance stance is the total levels of all of the generals in the alliance that match the type of general that the master is. So here I have defensive, balanced, defensive, and the total should be 59 plus 20. So 79, which you can see it's not. The reason it's not is because of all these stars they have. The stars will increase their effective level, and these are added into their alliance stance too. And the only thing really that you will use the stance for is the stance monsters, like Chromis. Your target number for a stance is 50, and I have 119. And what that means is that every time that I attack, then the bar has to go up. In this case, because I have a defensive general, as you can see from the symbol here, the defensive bonus will increase. Once I use 250 stamina attacking with a defensive general, then the crit bonus goes up to level 1, and then this goes up until it hits the maximum. Likewise, you have the attack will go up for an aggressive general, or the decay rate will go down for a balanced general. And that's primarily what the stance is for. You also get, like, you can see Bless has 302 million CP, which are the contribution points, and that helps in some manner with the loot drops. They don't really talk about this anywhere. Benefit, power, crit, crit, crit. If you did manage to get all three defense, aggressive, balance maxed out, then you get the ultimate mode, which is a really massive bonus to the damage that you do. And that is stance. But there are different alliances you may want to consider. I have, for instance, Barbarous. It's always difficult to find. So Barbarous does this 3 times power attack. That only works if he is a master. Certain generals only get that bonus as a master. Another notable one would be like Zera, who transfers defense into attack. And as you can see here, what I've done with Barbarous is to put him with Dominus, who doesn't really do much for killing monsters, but he has a good bonus to stamina. And then King, who will increase the amount of damage if there is a crit. So I guess what I was thinking when I put this together is I don't use Barbarous very much unless I need to use a lot of stamina when I level up. So once I level up, Domus's bonus of 27 to max stamina will come into play, and then I have a little bit more stamina to use when I first attack. And then this bonus, if you have increased the stamina or energy with a general and you hit your normal maximum, then this bonus will allow you to have more. But once you change generals, then that bonus goes away immediately. So in order to benefit from this, I have to keep Barbarous as my general, and then use like a 10 stamina hit, which would become a 30 stam, and use up this extra 27 to max stamina that Dominus is giving. What I would usually, well, usually I use a different general that I'm trying to level up to hit monsters, but if I really need to do a lot of damage, I will use King. And with him I have Straticus, more damage when I do crits. I think I misspoke about Barbarous. With Barbarous and Dominus and King increases critical chance. So now I have King, increased critical chance, Straticus, increased damage when there is a critical, and then Barbarous is third. He does not get this power attack because he's in the secondary slot, but he does give this 6.8% to Monster Hunter. Also, all three are aggressive, so I have a high alliance stance for hitting monsters if I need to. And then it adds to attack and defense. So there are different options you could have taken. For instance, if you have a monster hunting general, I have Zeravok. And I don't actually use Zeravok because I have very high attack already. But for people who don't have a lot of attack, this is a good option. You have a general with monster attack, and you put them with another general with monster attack. And then you put them with a general with a critical chance bonus. In this case, King is my best one. But you may not have King, you may have Dolimer, who's actually a reasonably good general that you can have. With the Monster Hunter generals, your primary general only adds a quarter of their attack, which is much less than normal, and the secondary adds only 10%. So the diminishing returns are quite severe when you go with monster attack. So you could have 3 monster attack generals if you're really desperate to get your attack up, and there may be a reason to do that, but often you're better off just having more critical chance. And then there was another trick that you could consider. So I have a general, I'll just find someone down here. I believe I was using like Chase last time. I didn't change his alliance. So you can see Chase is like plus to army limit. So normally you have 501 as your max army. Chase increases that to 522. And what I've done with this alliance is I've taken Elizabeth, who has a bonus to energy and a penalty to stamina, and I've put Chase and her with Araxis, who has a penalty to energy and a bonus to stamina. And the outcome of this is that it will pick the bonus that has the highest value and give it to the Master General. If you have more than one of the same and it does not match what the Master General has. So in this case, I have plus 15 max energy versus minus 25 max energy. And the plus 15 is obviously better, so that's what goes to Chase. And likewise, the plus to stam is better than the penalty to stam. So now I have Chase, who will help me if I'm doing invasions, and I've increased his max energy and max stamina. So if I don't use him for a while, then it hits a higher max. And if I am leveling up, it'll be a higher max, so I get a little bit more to max energy and max stamina. And it doesn't have to be stamina and energy, it could be attack and defense. Just a little way to avoid that penalty that you would have by using these other generals. If I had taken Elizabeth and used her first, then added Chase and Araxes to her, what would happen is that Elizabeth has a modifier to max stamina. Araxes has a modifier to max stamina. And the same for the energy. So what would happen is Elizabeth's plus 15 to max energy would have added this minus 25. So instead of being plus 15, she'd be minus 10 to max energy. And the stamina and energy bonus and penalty will combine and negate each other. So what would happen is you'd have Elizabeth with a minus 10 to energy penalty, and then you add Chase after to give an extra to the army limit. And that would really be a bad idea. So I'm just like pointing this out so you know how to avoid some of these pitfalls. And I believe that's most of what I want to talk about with alliances. And stance as well. But the main advantage of using these alliances is to combine these abilities. So you have 3 generals and you can only use one at once. But now you have found a much stronger combination of abilities. Like, so for instance, have Zira. Defense transfer to attack only works if she is the master. So I can only use her in one alliance. I should mention that a couple of things. You can use generals in more than one alliance. You can use them like in all of your alliances if you want to. I could have Zira in more alliances, but she could only be the master of this one. And her ability only works if she is the master. So in this case, I would only really want to put her in a primary or secondary link position if I didn't have a better general and I wanted, for instance, to get this bonus to attack and defense to my master general. Or if I needed to increase alliance stance for some reason and I didn't have a better aggressive general. But otherwise, yeah, I have Daphne is my strongest general, and I have her in almost every alliance. I don't know if it really matters. For invasions, for instance, if you have an alliance, does your alliance make a difference to how strong your generals are when you have those calculations made to win or lose? I do not know. I'm not sure if that's ever really clarified anywhere. Likewise, if you go into war and you are setting up your war council, is your alliance used when you are determining who wins here? I've heard that it is used, but I'm never really certain because your equipment is also a big factor in this. Another special note is the Hrothgar alliance. Normally when your generals are stunned in a guild battle, their bonuses no longer work. There is an exception. If you have King Hrothgar plus Rose and Astrid, and you have them all together in one alliance, then this heal yourself on victory ability will continue to work even while you are stunned. But it's difficult to get this to actually be beneficial because every time you attack, you'll take damage. And you cannot increase your damage by adding a general to this alliance. It has to be these particular three, not necessarily in a given order, I believe. And you have, right now I have 12% self-healing from attacking. So the only way to get that up is to increase my damage rune or have assistance. And that could be in the form of not taking as much damage, or it can be in the form of being able to do more damage. So not taking damage would be Guardian Sentinel or Evade, or that could be from Smoke Bomb. And ways to do more damage would be like Shout. If you're not a cleric, then you could be a warrior or a rogue, and you can use this ability more often because you'll be able to do more damage. But if you're a cleric, which is really the goal here, is to heal yourself back up to bring the gate back, then you need to do more damage. And in some battles like the Colosseum, as long as you get above 0, then your healing kicks in, and then you're at your minimum health every time from your healing after attacking. But you really want to get back up over 200 and start using abilities. And if you're in a 100 versus 100 or a 10 versus 10 battle, then you need to get that back up over 200 to not be stunned. And then once you get there, then you can consider if you want to keep using this alliance or if you want to change it to something else. And this is like, I don't know, an Easter egg, a feature. My personal opinion is it's kind of broken, but it really only applies to the highest level players because they're the only ones who can get the damage in. Or, maybe not quite as high, but they have a lot of teamwork going to get Guardian and Poison and whatever to increase damage and reduce damage taken. Okay, so that is mostly what I want to talk about. You will find, for instance, I have different loadouts. I have Poison, Sneak Poison, Rogue, I have Sneak Attack. So I have, like for instance, I have Athex here. Oh, I can't do this, I'll complain. And the way I go changing these Master Generals is just to hit the General Alliance. You could reload the page or whatever works for you. So like, Athex, where'd he go? Okay. So I'll show you this quick. I have Athex and Jessica together with Dominus. So with this combination I'm doing poison, and I have the chance to splash the poison onto adjacent allies, and then I have sneak attack damage. So this combination I would use if I'm at the start of a battle or just hitting a gate for the first time and I'm able to take advantage of the sneak attack and I want to do poison at the same time. Like if they have a lot of health. But if they don't have a lot of health, I would pick something else. And if they do have a lot of health but they've already been hit, then I'll pick a different alliance, as I'll show you if this updates. So I had Jessica with Athex, and I had Dominus. Now I have Jessica first, Athex, and Gabriel. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing poison. I get the splash damage, and I have the same poison duration and the poison damage. But I know that the person that I'm hitting has already taken damage, so I don't benefit from the sneak attack. So I just put Gabriel in, and Gabriel increases the damage I do on that hit, and also the damage room bonus goes up. So if I hit someone with poison in this state, the poison is got a bonus based on your wound damage. So this will actually increase the damage from poison with this alliance compared to my other alliance, and I think about maybe that's really I should be doing all the time. But then I have this other alliance for sneak attack, which uses Dominus. And in this case, Dominus for sneak attack plus Gabriel. And I had both of these in that poison alliances, just different ones. And then I put King Hrothgar in here so that this is a rogue doing sneak attack, and they're getting a lot of damage in. But they have to win. So I have King Hrothgar in there for his Water Pierce to increase the chance that I will win that particular attack. And then once I do win, then I have damage to heal yourself, 9% of it. So I've done a lot of damage, and then I get a big chunk of that back when I attack. So if I hit someone, sneak attack, and they have Daphne or Tora up, that can be quite painful, but this eases that pain a little bit. And I do use King Hrothgar a lot, just because of this heal yourself on victory. 9% currently, but that gets to be higher. But those are some ideas. I actually have many other possible combinations that I've discussed in other documents, which you could be looking into later. And that is it for my this portion of the video, which is the second one, which I'm making first. Thanks.